Hello, sports fans. This is Jack Boyce.
Along with Terry Moore, and we're at the opening of the banquet of the 1985 Babe Ruth World Series.
Shelbyville, Indiana, fortunate to host for the second year in a row the special event with a special ex-baseball player in Shelbyville to draw a crowd, Terry.
Hall of Famer Lefty Gomez was there, and all the kids from all over the country who participated in the 85 Babe Ruth Bambino World Series just fell in love with the ex-Yankee Lefty Gomez.
Not only the kids, but the parents, too. They wanted to meet this young man that came to town and was here for the opening ceremonies along with the Babe Ruth officials from the East Coast and a colorful parade of teams onto the playing field here at Shelbyville, Indiana. Teams from all across the United States traveling by car, by bus, and by plane to get here to play in that championship game to be decided in just 1 week.
Well, it all took place in the hot month of August 10th through the 17th, as all the teams, as you said, Jack, paraded around the diamond. And the host team for the 1985 World Series was the Shelbyville Hardee's team. They were dressed in their orange and white, and by virtue of being the host team, they would play the opening game of the 85 World Series. The umpiring crew, Lefty Gomez there just before the first pitch of the opening game.
Chief of the umpire crew, Jim Hill, Leo Melanson, Eddie Bryan, and Bruce Connett made up the four that had some hard work ahead of them in the hot sun here in central Indiana in mid to late August.
Well, Choctaw, Oklahoma would draw the assignment of playing Shelbyville in that opening game, and we're really just minutes away from the first pitch of the ball game between Shelbyville and Choctaw. Choctaw brought a lot of people with them from the southeastern part of the state of Oklahoma, and some 15 hours by car. And there's the starting lineups for the Choctaw team as they're escorted out to the diamond by the Princesses.
Princesses from Shelbyville were selected earlier to be escorts for these young men in the games throughout the series. People in Shelbyville and Shelby County had an opportunity to meet other people, youngsters and parents from all over the United States and from communities they'd never heard the names of before, perhaps like Choctaw, Oklahoma.
Well, the quality of play in the first game, as it was throughout the World Series, very good at a very high level. Both the offense, the defense, the pitching, the base running, all aspects of the game was much more than what you would expect for a 12 and under league.
That first game's a tough one too, Terry. All the other teams are in the wings, waiting to see just what kind of caliber of baseball you're going to be playing. You're going to be anxious to see what kind of ball the other team is going to throw at you.
Many Babe Ruth Bambino World Series baseball players go on to play high school, college, semi-pro, and professional baseball. And a lot of the kids that played in this 85 Bambino World Series someday will be playing on the high school and college level and maybe even in the professional ranks.
As the game went on between Shelbyville and Choctaw, Oklahoma, the lead exchanged hands. Each team shared their portion of momentum, and each team got an opportunity to get both feet on the ground, get an idea of just how the ball's going to be thrown, how it's going to hop, where the sun's located, what other problems you might encounter, and to get a few cobwebs out of your head and mentally apply yourself 100%. Some outstanding plays by players on offense and defense for each team. And Shelbyville getting an opportunity to play in the second annual World Series. They had a score to settle as well, Terry.
Well, Jack, in the 84 World Series, the Shelbyville team played 2 games and they were out in the double elimination tournament. They lost both games that they played, and they came back in 85 with a renewed interest and a real challenge. And the coaching staff made that challenge to them, and they played excellent baseball throughout the World Series.
It was interesting to find out from the coaches, from not only the host team, but from the visiting team, what these men do in their daily vocations, what they have given up throughout the entire summer, more especially the month of August, to be with these young men, to develop them into fine ball players and to learn more of what it's like to be in competition. They've given a lot for several months, and all with very small salaries indeed, all looking forward to and hoping to play in a World Series, Babe Ruth, ages 12 and under, and for the second year in a row being hosted by Shelbyville, Indiana.
This tournament held in August, as we said, and just prior to going back to school for most of these boys, And when they return to their home states and their home cities, they have a lot to talk about to their classmates. Kind of hard to verbally tell the other classmates exactly how exciting this '85 World Series was held in Shelbyville.
There's an extra added attraction for the players and for the town and for the Babe Ruth officials as well this year with the series, Terry, as the multi-state publicity it received to the television media.
Local independent television station WTTV had an opportunity to telecast the opening game and distributed that opening ball game to 4 states and some 125 cable systems. And so a lot of people in Indiana and 3 other states got a chance to watch these 12 and under boys participate in the opening game of the World Series.
As a result of the series in Shelbyville, Indiana, now towns from all over the United States are vying for the opportunity of hosting a regional and levels on higher yet in the play of maybe getting the chance to have a World Series in their town. They're gearing things up in California for that.
Well, Shelbyville proved that hosting a World Series can be very, very fun, possibly lucrative, but at the very least, very competitive for all the boys.
So many intangibles in hosting a series like this. You never know just how long it's going to take before you can even break even from a monetary standpoint. The attendance at the gate and so on, as a large expense was involved in constructing a stadium like the one at Shelbyville. The diamond was already there, but the possession had to be changed. A large backstop installed, 2-story press box, concession stand, a lot of bleachers brought in, a lot of field work to be done, a parking lot. The list goes on and on. It was a large investment, but it pays off in years to come. You don't see it immediately, perhaps.
Well, not only does it take a large investment, as we see the winning home run being over the right center field fence, hit by Shelbyville, and as the Shelbyville Hardee's team goes on to win the opening game 6-3 over Choctaw. But the number of volunteers that it takes to put on a World Series such as this is just astronomical. These people give up a lot of time and effort, and it takes a lot of people to put a World Series on.
Game number 2, Terry, was between Shelbyville and the winner out of that New England region, which was Lancaster, New Hampshire, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, and Shelbyville very fortunate to win that ball game too. A lot like the Choctaw game, in that Shelbyville got ahead early in the ball game, as we see the final score against Choctaw, 6-3. Choctaw came back to tie the ball game, actually went ahead by a run, and then Shelbyville put a late spurt together to finally win the game 6-3. So that took them on to game number 5 in the World Series against Lancaster, New Hampshire.
As we mentioned, teams come from all over the United States, as far away as Lancaster, New Hampshire, perhaps in the northwestern portion of the United States, from Flathead Valley, Montana, maybe from the south, from the southeast, from the central United States, maybe just in one state away. But what they brought with them, besides the ball players, was so much goodwill from the communities that Babe Ruth baseball in general has always had with it for the years and years that they've put on programs like this. The Hardee's team for Shelbyville, underwritten by a area restaurant chain, underwriting the team from expense standpoint, but also underwriting the series for several $1,000s so that many expenses could be made, making it possible. A dream that one man here in Shelbyville, John Luck, had a couple of years ago after seeing what has been done in Niles, Michigan, and had the dream of Shelbyville hosting a World Series.
The final score with Lancaster, Shelbyville 5, Lancaster 3, and that will take Shelbyville on one step further in that winner's bracket, and they now will face the Wilmingham, North Carolina ball club. Wilmingham was in the loser's bracket, defeated Cedar Rapids, and then advanced to play Shelbyville.
I believe the fans from Shelbyville now, many knew from the very beginning, but other fans visiting as well, are realizing this Shelbyville team is for real. They are now in the process of winning their 3rd game, taking advantage of maybe some errors made by a team in various situations. But the momentum and enthusiasm it kept building each time as the host team went to the plate or went to the field was just outstanding. And as Shelbyville will take advantage of every opportunity they can against the Wilmington team from North Carolina and pick up their 4-2 win. But as the series went on, the tension mounted. The games got a little bit tougher, Terry.
Well, the next game was against probably the favorite in this World Series, the Brooklyn, New York team. They had fine pitching, a lot of hitting, and played some pretty good defense. So it was Shelbyville against Brooklyn in that final game of the winner's bracket, and a chance to move on to the final game of the World Series.
The Brooklyn team, called the Gil Hodges team out of Brooklyn, New York, was so good it was difficult to really find a weakness that they might have had. And Shelbyville was defeated by them, and that put the Hardy's team in the loser's bracket for the very first time, and had to go up against Fern Creek, Kentucky.
Well, the Kentucky boys, they had some good hitting as well, and they also had some good pitching. And Shelbyville found themselves with their hands full as Fern Creek rattled the boards and hit the ball hard against the Shelbyville pitching.
Teams came from all over the United States, as we mentioned, from far away and maybe from in the next state, just like Fern Creek, Kentucky, and brought a large following coming into Shelbyville by every means possible. Fern Creek, Kentucky had an outstanding fan attendance. Fern Creek just outside Louisville. They were very determined that they were going to be in that championship game, but knew that there was some kind of a magic into that Shelbyville squad that was making them difficult to get them to buckle under the pressure and to put them down enough where you could finally come up with the win.
Well, Shelbyville had come back a number of times after being behind in earlier ball games, and it looked like they may do the same thing against Fern Creek in the final game of the winner's bracket, but it was not to be, as Fern Creek would hold on and win the ball game over Shelbyville. Although Shelbyville here celebrating, there's the final out of the ball game, and Fern Creek would go on and face the Brooklyn, New York team for the championship of the '85 Babe Ruth World Series.
The teams meeting for the championship game had another opponent at various times. That was the weatherman. But the work done by the field crew at the Shelbyville Stadium cannot be described properly, as the field was put in great shape, ready to play for another warm August afternoon.
Well, rain did hamper the tournament throughout the week, but all the games were caught up and all played, and we eventually got to the final game on a Sunday afternoon, Brooklyn and Fern Creek.
With exciting plays occurring all over the field, whether the ball's hit over the head of the pitcher or it's a close play at home plate, the fans got their money's worth, and everyone knew that this was the game to end all games. Fern Creek, Kentucky had a bigger mountain to climb. They had to win 2 to keep alive. Double elimination tourney permits the teams to lose once and still be alive. The Gil Hodges team did not want that to happen. They wanted it all over in one and did just so, Terry.
Well, many of these teams have not played teams from outside of their state all year, and they come to Shelbyville and they're playing teams in some cases from across the country. And so in effect, this is their World Series.
And it belonged to the Gil Hodges team from Brooklyn, New York, winning the second annual event in Shelbyville, Indiana. For Terry Moore, Jack Boyce, be a good sport.